everyone, it's Dominique Munoz, clinical psychologist, and today's light bulb moment is all about manifestation. And I'm sure we can all relate. How many of us have things in our life that we really want to manifest, situations that we want to be different, or things that we want to attract into our life? Now, I always thought manifestation is trying to get what you want, and I've come to learn that it's not like that at all. It doesn't mean you don't get really what's true to you, but the way we go about it is completely upside down, and that's why it often doesn't work. But if you look at the word manifestation, I looked up what festation means, and festation means revealed. So manifestation is man revealed. What does that mean? It means man, in other words, who you truly are, being revealed. In other words, revealing yourself as the light of the Creator, as an aspect of divinity being revealed. So your human form is the part of you that we kind of focus on, but we're not focusing on our divinity. And manifestation is actually combining the two. It's the human being being revealed, the being part being revealed through the man. So manifestation is actually about realization, realizing who you truly are. And in realizing who you truly are, your perception about yourself as the man changes completely, and then what you attract shows up very differently. And often what we truly want shows up not because you just kind of wished it into being, is because you followed the principles of why we're actually here. We are here to create, and if we're not creating, we've got to look at what is blocking us. And for all of us, there's something blocking us because there's some lies that we live by. And that's the most important part, is what is the problem? Where are we going wrong? What is blocking us from really getting to that place of creating what we want? And the truth is, it's an assumption. Is that from little, we have programming based on experiences that have happened over and over and over again in our lives, that we made little assumptions. And that's what I call the lies we live by, is that we've made an assumption and we created a rule of who I, the man, is. In other words, I am lazy, or I am fat, or I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough, or whichever it is. And whatever follows I am follows you, because fundamentally you are the I am. So the I am, as in your divinity, has endless possibilities. It's ... So it's what you putting at the end of that I am ... is what's blocking you. But the problem is, we feel that we have evidence to support what we believe. So if, for instance, I did badly at school, you feel you've got evidence. You got failures, or you got E's and F's at school in your marks. So as far as you're concerned, it's true. But it's not true. What is true? It's just a perception. Maybe you did badly because you were studying stuff that didn't resonate with you. Or maybe the way it was taught in mainstream school is not how your brain perceives and understands information correctly. But if I give you something you're super interested in, you might absorb it really well. You might be excellent on the rugby field because you understand how action works on the field and certain plays. But if I put you in a history class, you fall apart. Doesn't mean you're stupid. But you could live your whole life believing you're stupid and then not follow your dreams and do things that you'd love to do because you're blocked by a veil, an assumption that I'm stupid. And then you can't go study or whatever. Maybe you just can't go study the thing that doesn't resonate with you, which doesn't matter. But it doesn't mean you can't go and learn something that really, just in a different modality, that would totally work and you'd be super successful. So you might be living a reality of not being successful, not because you can't be successful, but purely because of an assumption, a lie that you've picked up, that you keep running around with, that keeps blocking your actions and behaviors. So what you need to do is really go and look, how do you keep talking? Abracadabra, if you ever look that up, means as I speak, so I create. Magic. So watch, how do you speak a lot of the time? I'm very guilty of always speaking about never having enough time, not enough, not good enough, not enough. So I've had to learn to start watching when I say that, is try and change it. Instead of saying I can't, because often you might have that you talk a lot about, I can't do this, I can't do that. Rather, I'm learning. Change it to I'm learning. And part of learning is failing. And it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, because that's how you learn. Instead of using the failing or making a mistake as evidence that you can't. So it's really just observing how you speak. Check whenever you say I am a procrastinator. Are you? Or you just don't follow through on things that scare you, or you just don't follow through on things that don't interest you. So watch really and how you're talking, what follows the I am, and replace it with the truth of who you really are, manifestation. In other words, revealing who you truly are as divinity, who you truly are as your higher self, is a creative being that is not a procrastinator, that when he's passionate about something, or when she's passionate about something, she goes full out. So really start being kind to yourself and questioning the assumptions that you've made about yourself, even if there's evidence that makes it seem true or seem real. It's just a perspective. And when you change that perspective, your attitude changes. If I always thought that I can't, and now suddenly I've opened to I'm learning and I can, your attitude's completely different. So life is going to throw things at you. And if you take it not personally as a punishment, and rather see it as an opportunity, your responsibility in every moment is your ability to respond. Is how you're going to respond to this moment. And do I keep, so if it brings up one of my fears, that I'm not good enough, whatever, in that moment, if I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, know that that's your moment. The discomfort is telling you you're hitting one of your lies. And if I'm playing paddle, for example, I'm really not good at ball sports, and straight away I think I'm not good enough, so I prefer to do things that I'm good at. I've got a moment when I'm feeling uncomfortable, when I'm dropping the ball or losing the game, to adjust my belief about myself. Instead of saying I'm not good enough, how about I'm getting better and better? I can't lie to myself and say I'm amazing, because I'm not amazing at it yet, but I'm learning and I'm getting better, and I'm better than I was yesterday when I'd never picked up a paddle racket, for example. So now the attitude is I'm learning. So immediately the frequency of excitement comes up, possibility comes up. So the way that I now behave on the paddle court, for example, will be very different to when I let the thought get in that I'm not good enough, where I go into victim mode, feel defeated, and then actually start getting scared, and then my reptilian brain switches on, and you actually become clumsier and make more mistakes and miss the ball more, because you're so in your head about it that you actually can't play properly anymore. Whereas if you had gone into your hero status, hero versus victim, if I'm a hero, in other words, I'm always learning and I'm doing great because I'm doing better than I was able to yesterday. Now I've got freedom to practice, freedom to make mistakes. The mistakes don't mean anything. And then I play better and better and better, and the feeling inside my heart is lighter, more relaxed. So this is a challenge for you to really go and observe what follows I am when you're talking. And when you get that discomfort or that uncomfortable feeling in you whenever you're doing something, go and observe. This is the question you ask yourself. What do I have to be believing right now to be feeling this? There's something you're believing about yourself to be feeling the horrible feeling. And the horrible feeling is an alert to tell you that you've gone off course. You're thinking something that's not true about your highest version of who you really are. So if you're down because a girl didn't phone you back and you wanted to go on a date or whatever it is, you're going down because you're starting to believe, for instance, I'm not lovable. Nobody will ever love me. Is that true? Is that really true? Go and question it. And then follow it by, I am super loving. I am full of love and have lots of love to give. And then immediately your reaction changes to how you start to behave. Because ultimately creation comes from conscious thought plus action equals the manifestation. So you have to act, but if you're acting on a low frequency, a low feeling, because the thought behind it, the assumption behind it is not true about yourself, but you think it's true, or subconsciously believe it's true because of all the evidence in your life, you're off course. So the horrible feeling is it's like an alarm bell or a GPS beeping saying you're off track. Your thought process is not true about you. So pay attention to that horrible sinky feeling in your stomach, and then go and look to what was the conscious thought you just had. that you've probably thought your whole life, so you didn't even know that you're thinking it, and then go and reframe it, and then you'll have a different feeling, and then straight away you're open to infinite possibilities, and your behavior, your action is going to match that. And slowly but surely, just like a seed that gets watered and watered and watered, something different is going to start growing in your life. And then that manifestation, in other words, what starts to show up in your life, is going to match or mirror who you actually start to reveal you are. And that, people, is manifestation at its truest form. And I challenge all of you to give it a try.